Your VA examiner opined that it is less likely than not. That's a death sentence for your claim. Just in case you didn't have enough, you don't have a diagnosis in one ear, you don't have a nexus in the other ear. Now you have less likely than not, and I'm going to explain that here in just a second, so bear with me. That your hearing loss is due to military noise exposure. The examiner provided the following rationale: lack of evidence of hearing loss during active duty service and lack of evidence of a permanent, positive, and significant hearing threshold shift during such service. So there's a couple other words here. Your VA examiner, like your boy, that's kind of what they're trying to do to you. And then your examiner, he's not your he's the enemy. He is not your boy. He's not your examiner. They're just trying to convince you that he's some kind of independent entity. He is hired by the VA to fucking deny your claim. Not all CNP examiners are like that. And if you're a CNP examiner watching this, if you're doing this to veterans, you're a complete piece of shit and you should quit your job and go work somewhere else because you hate veterans. You can hate veterans. That's why we fought for this country. We can have free thoughts, free speech. But if you hate veterans, quit working for LHI, VES, and QTC and go work somewhere else. And maybe you should take up kids. But then you'll probably be a dick there and whatever. End rant. So, not your CNP examiner, right? Another point that I would like to make is hearing loss claims are not tinnitus claims. Hearing loss has one diagnostic code. Tinnitus has another diagnostic code. They're often filed together, and they're almost always examined together at the enemy's CNP exam doctor at his office, at the audiologist. But they are not the same claims. They're two separate claims. So a lot of times they'll crosstalk in decision letters. You have your tinnitus over here and your hearing loss. Separate them out. It's literally like the difference between your foot and your elbow. Completely different body parts, rated differently, that kind of stuff. Want you to be aware of that. There's 5 legal phrases. And your private doctor should be using these phrases because the CNP examiner will be using these phrases. They're goofy phrases, in my opinion, but they're legal VA jargon. Like, this is the legalese. It's not a good idea to speak VA legalese. This is the argument. I wrote it exactly like this because guess who is going to be using VA legalese? Your CNP examiner when he's bending you over. So there's 5 of them. Is due to, that one's pretty straightforward. 100% certainty that this disability was caused or made worse or aggravated by service, your active duty service on a direct service connection basis, secondary service connection basis, pre-existing service connection, presumptive service connection, whatever the case may be. The next one down is more likely than not. This means a greater than a 50% chance. At least as likely than not. This was equal to or greater than a 50% chance. I underline this one and I'll explain. Less likely than not means less than a 50% chance. Is not due to is a 0% chance. So the main thing that you need to take away from all this verbiage is if you have any doctor, whether you hire them or a CNP examiner, if they give you these 2, your claim's dead. It ain't happening. Nexus is not established. These 3 are good. So go for good. Don't go for bad. Now, this one is really weird for normal people that haven't seen this language. At least as likely than not. Like, whatever. I'm not like super college educated, but I wasn't even speaking like that in kindergarten. It's just a weird standard, but essentially it means equal or greater than a 50% chance. There's a tie goes to the veteran rule. You are proving your claim. That's what we do when we file a disability claim. You may not do a very good job at it. I know I did a piss poor job multiple times, but when all the evidence is in and all the decisions have been made, if you come up to a 50-50 and it's a tie, the tie is supposed to go to the veteran. That's why equal is plenty, greater than is fine too. Usually you're not going to get is due to, because you don't need your doctor to go out that far on a limb. He doesn't need to be like, I am 100% sure the migraines are caused by the tinnitus. He just needs to say, there's a 50-50 chance. And then on the other side of this, C&P examiners, if they're being dicks, they'll write is not due to, but they don't need to go that far, and they usually don't. They usually use this one, less likely than not. So to get a favorable decision, you're going to need to get a copy of your VA claims file, because you need to see what the C&P examiner wrote. And you need to use the medical records that you submitted along with your claim. And you need to bring all that and this denial letter, and you need to bring all this stuff to your private doctor and explain what happened. You know, they didn't see this because I don't have a nexus. I went to the VA. They don't do nexuses because they're dicks. Can you hook me up with a nexus doc? Absolutely. Oh, by the way, thank you for your service. That will be the time. Thank you for your service is actually relevant because he's a private doctor and he appreciates that he was able to go to medical school and make whatever, $350 a year. So those guys tend to actually like veterans, unlike C&P exam doctors and VA doctors. I don't have no clue why they just don't like us. They should clear them all out. So that's how you get a favorable decision. You challenge the C&P exam with medical evidence from a private doctor, and your private doctor basically looks at the circumstances, you know, pre-filing claim, but really all you're doing here is just trying to appeal this claim. And then he's just going to go through and say, nope, guy's a moron, didn't use the right tools. That's not an audiologist test. He was using a goniometer or whatever, or this dumb shit did a range of motion test when he's supposed to be doing hearing tests. So however he's going to argue it, like I said, there's a lot of ways to argue these things. Now there's one more thing that you should consider. I'm not saying don't go after hearing loss claims. If you currently are not service connected for hearing loss, being service connected for hearing loss at 0% is better than not service connected, because you can file secondaries, although it gets a little tricky, but you could do it. Hearing loss, here's how it works. Here's the bottom line. So you win your claim. You go pay money for a private doctor, all this stuff. The VA is going to come back, stick hearing aids in your ears, and then say, there you go, you don't have a problem. And you're going to be like, what do you mean? I'm 23. Yeah, we don't care about your age. This is where that age kind of works against you when you're younger. But when you're older and you're trying to do TDIU claims and things, and you're in your 80s or 90s, they can't use your age against you then either. In most cases, they can't use your age against you. But they're going to just be like, hey, man, you got hearing aids and you hear fine, right? Like, yeah, but I got hearing aids. That's not the way they look at it. You hear fine. That means you no longer have a disability. Well, sometimes the batteries die. Well, then charge them. Like, it's just, that's the way they look at it. I don't agree with it. Obviously, I don't agree with a lot of goofy stuff the VA does. Let me jump in here real quick and tell you about my boot camp. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp. You can talk to me live. There's a link on the website and in the description, combatcraig.com. And also, if you need medical evidence like a nexus or documenting your symptoms properly, go to our website, combatcraig.com, and it says medteam/nexus letters. Click on that link, fill out the form, boom, you're done.